My name is Amber Stone. I'm 32, a financial planner in a small Missouri town. Growing up, I was the kid who stepped up after my dad, my rock, passed when I was 15. I became the one holding my family together, paying for my mom's Christmas gift shop, my younger brother's college tuition, and my older sister's lifestyle. Thousands of dollars every month straight out of my pocket. But at our family's Christmas dinner last year, my mom looked me dead in the eyes and yelled, "All you do is take. You've never given this family anything." My sister chimed in, telling me to leave if I had any self-respect. I didn't scream back. I just walked out, my heart pounding, their words burning into my mind. A week later, my mom called me in tears. I replied with just one short sentence, enough to leave her speechless. But that was only the beginning of what came next. What about you? If it were you, what would you say in that moment? Share your answer in the comments. It started when I was 15 after my dad, Robert, died from a heart attack. He was my anchor. He taught me how to budget, how to stay steady when life got heavy. His death left a hole in our home, and I convinced myself I had to fill it no matter the cost. By 18, I was juggling 2 jobs, waitressing and tutoring, while studying finance, determined to keep my mom Elaine, my older sister Kristen, and my younger brother Tyler afloat. I didn't want Dad's memory to fade into a house drowning in unpaid bills. Mom runs a Christmas gift shop in our tiny Missouri town. It's her dream, but it's never made real money. For years, I've covered the rent, $2,000 a month, plus another $5,000 to stock it with snow globes, ornaments, and holiday trinkets. I'd sit with Mom's ledgers, balancing her books, finding ways to stretch every dollar. She never asked how I managed. She just assumed the money would appear. At first, I thought I was honoring Dad, keeping his family together. But Mom never said thank you. She'd show off the shop to customers, bragging about her hard work while I was the one keeping the lights glowing. Tyler, my younger brother, is 22, chasing an art degree in college. His tuition, $10,000 a year, comes straight from my savings. I've paid for his dorm, his paintbrushes, even his laptop when it broke last semester. He's talented, but he's never held a steady job. Once, he called me at midnight asking for $500 for a special project. I sent it even though it meant dipping into my emergency fund. When I suggested he get a part-time job, he laughed it off, said I was too uptight. Mom took his side, told me to let him find his passion. I swallowed my frustration and kept writing the checks. Kristen, my older sister, is 35, a marketing assistant who acts like the family's golden child. I've been covering her car payments, $400 a month, because she claims her salary doesn't stretch far enough. She lives in a sleek apartment, throws extravagant parties, and buys clothes she doesn't need. Last spring, she asked for $1,500 to get through a rough patch. I sent it even though I had to cancel my own weekend getaway. She never mentioned paying me back, just posted photos from a Miami trip, cocktails, beaches, all smiles. Mom would beam, calling Kristen our star, while I sat there feeling like a bank account with legs. It wasn't just the money that hurt.
It was how they treated me.
At family gatherings, Mom would rave about Kristen's latest social media campaign or Tyler's abstract art while my work, helping families plan their retirements, got nothing but blank stares. Once I mentioned how much I was juggling, how the shop's rent was draining my savings. Mom cut me off, said I was doing fine and shouldn't make it about myself. Kristen smirked, muttered that I was always whining. Tyler just scrolled on his phone, ignoring me. I'd leave those dinners feeling smaller, like my efforts didn't matter at all. The worst was when they compared me to Kristen. Mom would say things like, "If only you had Kristen's charm," or, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" Kristen would laugh, flip her hair, and say I was boring with my spreadsheets and budgets. Tyler chimed in once, saying I should lighten up and stop acting like the family accountant. I wanted to scream that I was the reason they had a roof, a shop, a college degree in progress. But I didn't. I kept quiet, kept paying, kept hoping they'd see me one day. It started to break me down. I'd lie awake at night wondering why I was sacrificing everything for people who didn't care. Dad's voice would echo in my head. His lessons about responsibility, about family. He had been the one to hold us together, to make me feel seen. Without him, I felt like I was carrying his burden, trying to be the glue for a family that didn't even notice I was cracking. I'd look at my bank statements, see the thousands I'd sent to Mom, Tyler, and Kristen, and feel a knot in my stomach. I was 32, with no savings of my own, no life outside of them, just a family that kept taking and taking. Last summer, I hit a breaking point. I told Mom I might need to cut back on the shop's rent. Business was slow, and my clients were struggling too.
She didn't even look at me.
Figure it out, Amber.
You always do, she said.
Kristen, who overheard, laughed and said I was too cheap to help family. Tyler texted me later, asking for another $200 for art supplies as if nothing had happened. I sent the money, but something inside me shifted. I began to see them for what they truly were, people who would never stop taking, who would never see me as more than a paycheck. I didn't know it then, but that moment planted a seed, one that would grow into something I never expected. I had spent weeks planning Christmas dinner that year, hoping it would be different. Mom's house was packed with family, neighbors, and customers from her gift shop. I'd cooked the turkeys, bought the wine, everything to make it perfect. For once, I thought maybe they'd see me, not just the money I sent every month. But as the evening wore on, that hope began to crumble. The dining room buzzed with chatter, plates piled high with mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce. Mom was at the head of the table, laughing with friends about her shop's record sales. Kristen was showing off her new phone, bragging about a work project she had barely started. Tyler was sketching on a napkin, ignoring everyone. I sat quietly, passing the gravy, trying to join the conversation. Then Mom turned to me, her smile fading. "Amber," she said, her voice sharp enough to cut through the chatter. "You didn't chip in for the decorations this year. You're always so stingy with the family." The room went quiet. I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. Stingy? I had poured thousands into keeping her shop running, the house standing, her kids fed. Before I could respond, Kristen leaned forward, eyes glinting. "Honestly, Amber, you're so selfish sometimes. All you do is take. You've never contributed anything real to this family." Her words hit me like a slap, echoing Mom's accusation. I looked at Tyler, hoping for a hint of support. He just shrugged, still sketching. My heart pounded with a mix of anger and hurt. I wanted to scream every dollar I'd poured into their lives, every sacrifice I'd made since Dad died. But no words came. Instead, I felt the weight of every ignored effort, every silent dinner crushing me. Mom wasn't done. She leaned closer, voice louder now. "You sit there acting like you're above us, but you've never done anything to make this family proud." The neighbors shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke. Kristen smirked, adding, "If you had any self-respect, you'd just leave. Stop dragging us down." My face burned. My hands trembled. I looked around the table, Mom's accusing stare, Kristen's smug grin, Tyler's indifference. This was the family I had given everything for, the ones I stayed up nights worrying about, balancing their budgets while mine dwindled. I thought of Dad, how he'd always made me feel seen, how he would never have let this happen. But he was gone, and I was alone in a room full of people. I pushed my chair back. The scrape echoed in the silence. "I'm done," I said, my voice low but steady. No one stopped me. Mom rolled her eyes, muttering about me being dramatic. Kristen laughed. "Good riddance." Tyler didn't even look up. I grabbed my coat and walked out. The cold Missouri air hit my face like a wake-up call. My car was parked down the street, and I sat for a moment staring at the house I'd paid for, the lights I'd funded, the family that didn't want me. The morning after I walked out of Mom's Christmas dinner, I sat at my kitchen table, coffee gone cold, and made a decision that felt like waking from a long sleep. I was done being their safety net. I started with the bank. I had been sending automatic payments every month to cover Mom's house, keeping a roof over her head. I called and canceled the transfers, my voice calm but my heart racing. The bank rep asked if I was sure. I didn't hesitate.
"Yes."
Next, I reached out to the property manager for Mom's Christmas gift shop. My name was on the lease as the guarantor, and I had been funneling thousands to keep Mom's shop stocked with holiday trinkets. I told them I was done. The manager sounded stunned. "We'll notify your mom soon," they said. I hung up, feeling a weight lift, like I was finally standing upright after years of bending under their demands. Then there was Tyler's college tuition. I'd been covering his classes, his dorm, everything, so he could chase his art degree without a care. I logged into the university's payment portal and removed my card. The next tuition deadline was coming up, and without my money, Tyler would get a wake-up call. It didn't feel cruel. It felt fair. I wasn't his bank anymore. Kristen was next. Her car payments had been coming out of my account for years, ever since she claimed she couldn't afford them. I called the finance company and stopped the autopay. She'd get a bill soon, and she'd have to deal with it. For the first time in my life, I wasn't worried about their reactions. I was setting myself free. It didn't take long for the fallout to start. A couple of days after dinner, Mom called, her voice sharp and panicked. "The landlord says the rent didn't go through. What did you do?" I let it go to voicemail. She called again, each message angrier than the last. "This is your fault, Amber. You know we need that money." I didn't reply. I deleted the messages and moved on. A few days later, the gift shop's property manager reached out to Mom. She texted me, frantic. "They're saying we might lose the shop. You need to fix this." I didn't respond. The shop was her dream, but it had been my money keeping it alive, stocking shelves, paying suppliers, covering rent. Without me, it was crumbling fast. By the following week, suppliers stopped delivering, and Mom got a notice. Pay up or close the doors. Tyler caught on around the same time. His university sent a warning about his unpaid tuition. He called me, more annoyed than scared. "Hey, the school says you didn't pay. What's your problem?" I didn't pick up. A second email warned he'd be dropped from his classes if the balance wasn't cleared soon. He texted again, all caps. "You're messing up my life. Fix it." I left him on read. He'd skated by for years. Now he'd have to figure it out. Kristen took the longest to notice. About a week after dinner, she called, dripping with irritation. "My car payment didn't go through. You stopped it? Are you kidding me?" She didn't wait for an answer, just kept going. "You're so selfish, Amber. Always making things harder for us." I let it go to voicemail. The finance company followed up with a late notice warning about repossession. She sent me a screenshot, adding, "You're ruining everything. Thanks a lot." I didn't budge. Their reactions didn't surprise me. They didn't ask why I'd stopped. Didn't pause to think about what they'd said at the dinner. They just blamed me, expecting me to jump back in and save them. I thought of Dad, how he taught me that family was about balance, give and take. I'd given everything, my savings, my time, my dreams. And they'd taken it all, offering nothing but complaints. Their anger only proved I'd made the right call. I needed to talk to someone, so I called my best friend, Holly. I hadn't told her about the dinner, but I needed to let it out. Over coffee, I spilled everything, not just their words, but the years of carrying their weight. Holly didn't hold back. "They've been using you, Amber," she said, voice firm. "You don't owe them your life." Her words cut deep, but they rang true. I wasn't the bad guy, no matter how much they tried to paint me as one. By the next week, the consequences hit hard. Mom's shop teetered on the brink, suppliers pulling back and customers noticing empty shelves. Tyler scrambled, looking for loans to cover his tuition but coming up short. Kristen dodged calls from the finance company, her social media filled with complaints about hard times. My phone kept buzzing with their messages, anger, pleas, accusations, but I stayed firm. I'd spent too long being their fallback. Now they'd have to face the mess they'd made. As the dust settled from my decision to stop paying for everything, my phone became a battlefield. Mom, Kristen, and Tyler didn't take long to realize their world was unraveling, and they made sure I knew who they blamed. Endless calls started, each sharper than the last, piling guilt on me like I'd burned their lives to the ground. But it was Kristen's move online that made things uglier, and Holly who helped me fight back. Mom was first. A few days after the notices hit, she called, voice trembling with rage. How could you do this to us, Amber? The shop's falling apart. The landlord's breathing down my neck, and you're just sitting there. She didn't ask why I'd stopped. Didn't mention the dinner, where she'd called me selfish. It was all my fault, as always. I let her voicemails stack up, each one a mix of accusations and pleas. You're tearing this family apart, she said in one, her tone breaking. Fix it, Amber. You owe us that much. I didn't owe her anything. Not anymore. But her words still stung, like a knife twisting in an old wound. Tyler was next, blowing up my phone with texts swinging between anger and desperation. The school's going to kick me out, he wrote, sloppy and rushed. You couldn't just pay the tuition. You're ruining my future. He called me selfish, accused me of punishing him for no reason. I stared at his messages, remembering how he'd shrugged at the dinner, too busy sketching to care. He'd never thanked me for keeping him in college or asked how I managed it all. Now, with his degree on the line, he suddenly had opinions about my choices. I didn't reply. Each text felt like a punch, testing my resolve. Kristen, though, took it to another level. About a week after her car payment bounced, she called, her voice dripping with venom. You think you're so high and mighty, Amber, cutting us off like this? You're nothing but a petty control freak. She didn't stop there. She went online, posting for the whole town to see. Her post was a masterpiece of lies, painting me as the greedy sister who'd abandoned her family, who'd let Mom's shop fail and Tyler's dreams crash. Some people only care about themselves, she wrote, tagging me so everyone knew who she meant. She added a photo of herself, looking sad outside Mom's shop, with a caption about family betrayal. The post spread like wildfire, racking up likes and comments from people who didn't know the half of it. How could you do this to your mom? One stranger wrote. You're heartless, said another. I saw the post late one night, scrolling through my phone, stomach sinking. The comments piled up, neighbors, old classmates, even people I'd helped with their finances, all chiming in to call me out. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. I'd spent years keeping this family together, and now I was the villain in their story. I thought of Dad, how he'd always said to hold my head high, but this felt like drowning. I almost called Kristen to defend myself, to list every dollar I'd poured into their lives. But I stopped. I wasn't going to beg for their approval. Not anymore. That's when Holly stepped in. My best friend since childhood, she'd been my rock, the one person who saw through my family's nonsense. I told her about the dinner and cutting them off, and she'd been furious on my behalf. When she saw Kristen's post, she didn't hesitate. She wrote her own post, laying out the truth in a way I never could. For years, Amber paid for her mom's shop, her brother's college, her sister's car, thousands every month with no thanks. She gave everything, and they called her selfish. Now she's standing up for herself, and they're twisting it to play the victim. Holly tagged Kristen, Mom, and Tyler, making sure the town saw the other side. She included blurred screenshots of my bank transfers, clear enough to show the money I'd sent over the years. Holly's post hit hard. People started commenting, shocked. Some even apologized for jumping to conclusions. A few of Mom's customers messaged me directly, saying they had no idea how much I'd done. One wrote, "Your mom always made it sound like she was doing it all herself." The tide was turning, but Kristen doubled down. She replied to Holly's post, calling me a liar and saying I'd exaggerated my help to make her look bad. Tyler chimed in, commenting, "Amber's always been jealous of us. She's just causing drama." Mom stayed quiet online but called again, voice softer now, almost pleading. "This is getting out of hand, Amber. Let's talk, please." I didn't pick up. Their words online and off were just noise now, trying to pull me back into their chaos. Holly wasn't done. She called the next day, fired up. "You're not letting them win this, Amber. They've been dragging your name through the mud, but the truth's out there now." She was right. Her post had shifted things, made people question Kristen's story. I felt a flicker of hope, not because the town's opinion mattered, but because I wasn't alone. Holly had my back, and that was enough to keep me standing. A few weeks after the social media storm, I found myself in a quiet office, staring at a stack of papers that held the key to my freedom. Holly had pushed me to meet with a lawyer, insisting I needed protection from my family's chaos. She was right. The calls, the texts, Kristen's posts, they were all trying to drag me back in. But I was done playing their game. Today, I was meeting my family at the office of my lawyer, David, to take back control of Mom's Christmas gift shop, the one I'd been bankrolling for years. I arrived early, stomach in knots but resolve firm. David, calm with sharp eyes and a knack for cutting through nonsense, had reviewed the shop's lease. My name was on it as the guarantor, a detail Mom had conveniently ignored when she claimed the shop as her own. David laid it out plain. I had the legal right to take control and decide its fate. I didn't want to run a gift shop, but I wasn't going to let Mom keep using my name and my money without having a say. Mom, Kristen, and Tyler walked in together, their faces a mix of anger and desperation. Mom's eyes were red, as if she'd been crying, but her jaw was set, ready for a fight. Kristen stood tall, arms crossed, her glare sharp enough to cut glass. Tyler slouched, avoiding my gaze, his usual indifference replaced by something heavier, maybe fear. David greeted them politely, offering coffee, but they just sat, staring at me like I was the enemy. Mom spoke first, her voice low but shaking. Amber, this has gone too far. You're destroying everything I've built. The shop's all I have. How could you let it fall apart? She leaned forward, hands clasped, as if she could will me back to the old days when a check from me fixed everything. I didn't flinch. I'd heard these words before, blame dressed up as pain. Kristen jumped in, her tone biting. You think you're some hero, don't you? Taking over the shop, acting like you're better than us. You've always been selfish, Amber. She flipped her hair, a move I'd seen 1,000 times meant to dismiss me. Face to face, her words landed heavier, meaner than online. I clenched my fists under the table, keeping my expression steady. Tyler finally looked up, voice quieter but no less accusing. You know I'm going to get kicked out of school because of you. My whole future's on the line, and you don't even care. He sounded like a kid caught in a lie, not the brother I'd supported for years. I wanted to remind him of every tuition payment, every late-night call for just a few $100s, but I held back. This wasn't about proving myself anymore. David cleared his throat, sliding the lease across the table. Let's focus on the facts, he said evenly. Amber's name is on the lease as the guarantor. She's been paying the rent and operational costs for years. Legally, she has the right to assume control of the shop, or walk away entirely. He looked at Mom, calm but firm. Elaine, you've been running the business, but Amber's been funding it. Without her, there is no shop. Mom's face crumpled, but she didn't argue. Kristen, however, wasn't done. This is ridiculous, she snapped, pointing at me. You can't just take Mom's shop. It's her life's work. You're stealing it. David raised a hand, cutting her off. It's not stealing, he said. It's Amber's legal right. She's been carrying the financial burden. The question is, what happens next? I took a deep breath, meeting their eyes one by one. I'm not here to steal anything, I said, my voice steady. But I'm done letting you use me. I've paid for the shop, the house, Tyler's school, Kristen's car, everything. And all I got was blame. I'm taking control of the shop because my name's on the line, and I'm not letting it drag me down anymore. Mom's eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't tell if they were real or a tactic. Amber, please, she said, voice breaking. We're family. We can work this out. Just pay the rent one more time. Keep the shop open. I'll make it right. I promise. It was the closest she'd ever come to an apology, but it wasn't enough. I'd heard promises before, empty ones that left me emptier. Kristen leaned forward, tone softer now, testing a new angle. Look, Amber, we all got heated at Christmas. Let's move past it. You don't want the shop. Let Mom keep it. We'll figure out the money. Her words were smooth, but her eyes were cold, calculating. I knew her game. She wanted me to back down so she could keep me the family's doormat. Tyler chimed in, voice pleading. Yeah, Amber, come on. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean to take you for granted. Just help me with school, and I'll get a job, I swear. He looked genuine for once, but I'd heard I'll get a job too many times. It was always the same empty promise. I shook my head, heart heavy, but mind clear. I've given you years of chances, I said. I'm not doing it anymore. The shop's in my name, and I'm deciding what happens to it. You want to save it? Figure it out without me. David nodded, sliding a document toward them, a transfer agreement that would put the lease in Mom's name if she could cover the costs. She couldn't, and we all knew it. Mom stood, chair scraping the floor. You're not my daughter, she said, voice low and final. You're breaking this family apart. Kristen grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the door, but not before shooting me a look that promised this wasn't over. Tyler followed, head down, saying nothing. They left, and the room felt quieter, heavier, like the air after a storm. David leaned back, giving me a small smile. You did well, he said. You stood your ground. I nodded, but I didn't feel victorious. I felt like I'd lost something, maybe the last piece of hope that my family could change. I thought of Dad, how he taught me to stand up for what's right, even when it hurts. This hurt, but it also felt like freedom. I left David's office with the papers signed, officially taking control of the shop. I wasn't sure what I'd do with it yet, but for the first time in years, I knew it was mine. Mine to decide, mine to protect, and mine to finally free myself from a family that had only ever taken. Sell it, lease it out, or let it close.
But it was my choice now.
For the first time, I wasn't carrying their weight. Whatever came next, I'd face it on my terms.